Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Zoom Srimad Bhagavatam class from Canto 1, Chapter 18, Texts 26 and 27. So without further delay, I'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavallabha Ivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Ivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajajanarangana Yashodanandana Vrajajanarangana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Nitai Gora Chandra Nitai Gora Chandra Gora Hari Jaya Jagannath Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gora Nitai Gora Nitai Gora Nitai Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Stottara Satyashishi Maharaj Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Stottara Satyashishi Maharaj Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Anandi Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Charya Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय नवद्वीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय गंगा मई की जय जमुना मई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय समवेत भक्त बिंद की जय Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glory to Sri Prabhupada, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna. Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Tinami, Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Statman. Sri Gaura Kavani Santi Bhakti. Hare Krishna. So this morning, actually, I'm a substitute for this class today. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, Text 26 and 27. We'll start with 26. And then, as you're feeling inspired, you may chant after I finish chanting 3 times. Hare Krishna. Pratirudendiya prana mano buddhim uparatam sthana trayat param praptam brahmabhutam avikriyam pratirundendiya prana mano buddhim uparatam sthana trayat param praptam brahmabhutam avikriyam pratirudrendriya prana manu buddhim uparatam sthana trayat param praptam brahmabhutam avikriyam. Hare Krishna.
प्रतिरुद्रेन्द्रिय प्राण मनोबुद्धिम् उपारतं स्थानत्रयात् परं प्राप्तं ब्रह्मभूतम् अविक्रियम्.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
प्रातिरुथेन्द्रिय प्राणमनो बुद्धिमुपारतं स्थानात्रयात् परं प्राप्तं ब्रह्मभूतमविक्रियम्. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
प्रतिरुद्रेन्द्रिय प्राण मनोबुद्धिमुपारतं स्थानत्रयात् परं प्राप्तं ब्रह्मभूतम् अविकीर्ण्यम्.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? All right, word for word. Pratiruda, restrained. Indriya, the sense organs. Prana, air of respiration. Mana, the mind. Buddhim, intelligence. Uparatam, inactive. Sthana, places. Trayat, from the three. Param, transcendental. Praptam, achieved. Brahmabhutam, qualitatively equal with the Supreme Absolute. Avikriyam, unaffected. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Muni's sense organs, breath, mind, and intelligence were all restrained from material activities, and he was situated in a trance apart from the three: wakefulness, dream, and unconsciousness, having achieved a transcendental position qualitatively equal with the Supreme Absolute. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It appears that the Muni, in whose hermitage the king entered, was in yogic trance. The transcendental position is attained by three processes, namely the process of Gyan, or theoretical knowledge of transcendence, the process of yoga, or factual realization of trance by manipulation, or the physiological and psychological functions of the body, and the most approved process of bhakti yoga, or the engagement of senses in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita also, we have the information of the gradual development of perception from matter to a living entity. Our material mind and body develop from the living entity, the soul. And being influenced by the three qualities of matter, we forget our real identity. The Gyan process theoretically speculates about the reality of the soul. But Bhakti Yoga factually engages the spirit soul in activities. The perception of matter is transcendent to still subtler states of the senses. The senses are transcended to the subtler mind, and then to breathing activities, and gradually to intelligence. Beyond the intelligence, the living soul is realized by the mechanical activities of the yoga system or practice of meditation, restraining the senses, regulating the breathing system, and applying intelligence to rise to the transcendental position. This trance stops all material activities of the body. The king saw the Muni in that position. He also saw the Muni as follows. So now we go to the next text, text 27. Vipakina jatachanam rora vena jinena cha vishusyat talur udakam tatabudam ayachata. Word for word. Vipakirna, all scattered. Jata achanam, covered with compressed long hair. Roravena, by the skin of a stag. Ajinena, by the skin. Cha, also. Vishusyat, dried up. Taluhu, palate. Udakam, water. Tatabutam, in that state. Ayachata, asked for. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The sage in meditation was covered by the skin of a stag, and long compressed hair was scattered all over him. The king, whose palate was dry from thirst, asked him for water. Report by Srila Prabhupada. The king, being thirsty, asked the sage for water. That such a great devotee and king asked for water from a sage absorbed in trance was certainly providential. Otherwise, there was no chance of such a unique happening. Maharaj Pariksit was thus placed in an awkward position so that gradually Srimad Bhagavatam could be revealed. Oma Ginati Vidandasya Gyana Gana Shalakaya Chakshu Umlitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaisnavam Scha Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lita Sri Vishakam Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhan Sute Devi Panamani Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachari Nirveshesha Sunyavari Paschatya Shatayana Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prima Padaya Te Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gauratishe Namaha Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himabhya Divacha Vishnuraya Tasmi Mahaprema Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Hare Krishna. So, text 26. The Muni's sense organs, breath, mind, and intelligence were all restrained from material activities, and he was situated in a trance apart from the three: wakefulness, dream, and unconsciousness, having achieved a transcendental position qualitatively equal with the Supreme Absolute. And 27, the sage in meditation was covered by the skin of a stag, and long compressed hair was scattered all over him. The king, whose palate was dry from thirst, asked him for water. Hare Krishna. So through this, you realize that two personalities are being described here. The sage is called Shamakrishi, and Shamakrishi is the sage whose son, Shringi, cursed Maharaj Pariksit to live only for 7 days, following what Maharaj Pariksit did. And so the king is Maharaj Pariksit. So we're talking about the situation of Maharaj Pariksit meeting or going to the hermitage of the sage Shamik Rishi. And this first one describes what his state of being was at the time that Maharaj Pariksit entered. So he was in trance, as Srila Prabhupada describes here, and he had gotten himself away from obviously wakefulness, because in a trance, the proper wakefulness, full beta state, as they call it, is not present. He's not in a dream state either. And because he's not sleeping, he just closed his eyes. And unconsciousness is also not the situation. He was definitely conscious. But he had withdrawn his sense organs, and his breathing had also changed. And the way he had situated himself, so he wasn't really aware of the outside surroundings. He'd cut himself from it. And this is actually something similar to those who go through Ashtanga Yoga do. First Yama, Niyama, then Asana, and then it goes on, Pratyahara, Dhyan, and then finally, it's 8 stages. This is about 5 or 6 of them that finally is Samadhi. So Yama and Yama, it's about what we are actually supposed to do that. The Yama and Yama is about, or they both about doing the right thing and staying away from the wrong thing. So your consciousness should be purified in that way. Then asana is a sitting posture, and then of course the breathing process, and then withdrawal of the sense organs, as has been described here. So it looked very much like Shamkarishi was going through that process. And it winds up in Samadhi. So that's wonderful. We, of course, have been given a very simple process by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada, in many ways, since he's so knowledgeable about these things, that sometimes in his purpose, he describes a little more detail what is going on, and he's done so here also. But as he's doing this, he's mentioned Gyan, yoga, and bhakti. He's talked about Gyan, theoretical knowledge of transcendence. He's talked about the process of the way that yogis do, that they go into trance. And of course, because of that, as we talked about, yama, niyama, asana, and so on, the physiological and psychological aspects of the body are all changed, manipulated, as Srila Prabhupada puts it. And then he says, the most approved process of Bhakti Yoga is engaging the senses in the devotional service of the Lord. So he says that is the most approved process. Well, it is the most approved process for one thing. The Krishna says, Bhakti Amama Vijanati. You want to come to me, it has to be from Bhakti. So the most approved process is the process of realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by employing the senses, not shutting them down, but using them to serve the Lord's devotees, to serve the spiritual master who is a representative of Krishna, and also to serve the deity, Krishna himself. So that is the most approved thing that we need to do. Shamkarishi in the Hermitage had resorted to that particular type of realization of the absolute by going into a trance. So Srila Prabhupada, towards the rest of the purport, he describes how the mechanics of how this whole trance situation is achieved. Again, we're not being asked to do that. We're just asking. Lord Chaitanya has made the process very, very simple. Chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is imported from the spiritual world. And Krishna says that you do devotional service, you will in fact come to me. Chanting is one of the 9 processes that we're supposed to do. Therefore, if we do that, we will develop love of, in time, gradually develop love of Godhead. So it's on us to do that, whether you're initiated or not. To chant, some initiated people have a number of grounds to chant minimum, but it behooves everybody to chant anyway. Because you call on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is absolute. When we chant, that's Krishna. Krishna in word form, but that is Krishna. He's non-different, not like us. So everything about Krishna is Krishna, whereas we have things, and the things are separate from us. So that is the difference. So in the next step, Srila Prabhupada describes what actually had happened. The sage was in meditation. He was wearing the skin of a stag, a male deer called a stag. And he had compressed hair. Some people still use compressed hair. And it was long, and it was scattered all over him. So he was quite in a state where he had disconnected from so many things. But the king was thirsty, Maharaj Pariksit. So even in that state, he asked him for water. Normally, he wouldn't have done that. Srila Prabhupada says that definitely the situation was providential. That means it's a decision from higher powers that things will unfold like that. And the Prabhupada ends by saying, it was the way things unfolded that made it possible eventually for the Srimad Bhagavatam to be spoken by Shukadeva Goswami. So as things were getting, set up for Bhagavatam to be spoken, Maharaj Pariksit, Shringi, and Shamkarishi were going through one part of the providential arrangement, and Vyasadeva and his son Shukadeva Goswami were going through another part of the arrangement by providence. Shukadeva Goswami was in fact Shuka, the parrot, in the spiritual world, Radharani's pet. There's a whole story about how he came to be Shukadeva Goswami. He was a parrot. Here, maybe a short part of the story was that Radha and Krishna, they were preparing to leave to go to the spiritual world. Shuka wanted to come with them. They said he should stay and hear Bhagavatam. So then, when they left, Radha and Krishna left along with the gopis. Then Shuka, the parrot, flew to where Lord Shiva was. And Lord Shiva was speaking Bhagavatam to his wife Parvati. So Shuka was supposed to hear because Radhakrishna told him that he should hear Bhagavatam. But again, this is the arrangement. If Shukadeva Goswami is going to speak Bhagavatam, first of all, he has to hear it. So as a parrot, he perched on the tree near Lord Shiva and his wife. Lord Shiva started speaking Bhagavatam. And Parvati was listening. Parvati was sitting on Lord Shiva's lap. So she had turned her back. Sitting on his lap means that her face was facing away from Shiva's face. They're all facing the same direction. And Lord Shiva speaks Bhagavatam and he says, do you understand? Parvati says, yes, very nice. Yes, very nice. And then Lord Shiva continues. So he goes on. What is now put at the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, by the time Lord Shiva got there, Parvati began to sleep, took a nap. But her face was facing away from Lord Shiva because they were all facing the same direction. So Lord Shiva was looking at the back of the head of Parvati. Parvati and not at all. Shuka is perched on the tree and he's listening. And Lord Shiva just continued. Again, somewhere in the middle, he says, do you understand? Well, of course, Parvati is not going to respond because he's sleeping. But guess what? Shuka is listening and he wants it to go on. So when Lord Shiva said, do you understand? the parents, as many parents, even in the Kali Yuga, they still do, he used the voice very similar. Came up with a voice very similar to Parvati's voice and responded in the same words that Parvati said. So Shrika said, yes, yes, very nice, sounding like Parvati. Well, Shiva just went on. Well, Shiva thought that Parvati had responded, yes, yes, very nice, as she was doing before. So this went on and on and on and on and on. And every time Shiva says, do you understand? Shuka would say, yes, yes, very nice, sounding like Parvati. And around the 10th canto area, Parvati woke up and said, oh, my Lord, I'm sorry. I nodded off and I could not hear a good part of Bhagavatam. Lord Shiva says, but you said, yes, yes, very nice. And Parvati said, no, I didn't. So then Lord Shiva looked around and then she realized, oh, there's this parrot. He must have been the one saying that. Lord Shiva got upset, picked up his trident, came after Shuka. Shuka flew away. Lord Shiva gave chase. Shuka wound up in the hermitage of Vyasadeva, who was speaking Bhagavatam to his wife at the time. Shuka made himself small, entered Vyasadeva's wife's mouth right into her body. Lord Shiva came, there was no Shuka in sight. But Lord Shiva saw Shuka enter the hermitage. So then he asked Vyasadeva, did you see a parrot coming here? Vyasadeva responded, why are you so upset? Lord Shiva relates the story about how Shuka cheated him, pretending to be his wife and responding to the time that Lord Shiva was asking whether Parvati had understood. So Vyasadeva listened and said, but, so Shuka has heard Bhagavatam in that way? Well, if he's heard Bhagavatam, then Bhagavatam purifies the mind, purifies. It's a very, very wonderful thing to hear. So this situation has actually purified Shuka. Lord Shiva agreed with Vyasadeva. Then Vyasadeva said, if he's purified, why do you want to kill him? So Lord Shiva turned around to give him the answer to the question. He just turned around and left. So then Vyasadeva continued to hear. Vyasadeva continued to speak Bhagavatam. And this time, Shuka was in the stomach of Vyasadeva's wife, transformed later into a person, and heard Bhagavatam. And so Shuka became Shukadeva Goswami, and she actually didn't even want to come out of the womb. But on insistence of Krishna, she finally, this is fast forwarding the past time. So she came and he got born. 16 years old, he left the house and he was going to meet Maharaj Pariksit. So in the meantime, this situation of Maharaj Pariksit asking for water from Sham Karishi, that was a situation that did in fact happen, but it was also providential, as Srila Prabhupada has explained in the purport. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. So, yeah, this was, as we know, the word that's used now is reversal, negative thing happening, but for good, a pure devotee, when there is reversal, something that is unexpected that happens that normally wouldn't happen, the way Maharaj Pariksit behaved, and actually, what happened in the story was that he put a dead snake. Maharaj Pariksit put a dead snake around the neck of Sham Karishi because Sham Karishi did not respond to him when he asked for water. So Sham Karishi continued his yogic trance situation until his son came in and found a dead snake around his father. And when he found out it was the king that did that, then he cursed the king to die in 7 days. In the meantime, Shukadeva Goswami was leaving home. Maharaj Pariksit heard about the curse and he stopped all his administration duties and came to the bank of the Ganga River in meditation. Shukadeva Goswami came, many other sages and demigods also came. And this is when Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken. So the whole thing that happened, starting with the situation between Shamakrishi and Maharaj Pariksit, was in fact providential, Krishna's arrangement. And in many, many, many ways, Krishna has actually used some reversals, reversal situation, for a good cause. We can say about one situation that Indra experienced with the residents of Vrindavan. They used to give him pujas, pujas. And the pujas was so that Indra could give them rains. But Krishna changed that, young Krishna at the time, changed under Maharaj's mind and said that we should actually worship Govardhan Hill instead. They agreed, they means the residents of Vrindavan. And according to Krishna's instructions, they started worshiping Govardhan Hill instead of giving the puja to Indra. And that infuriated Indra, and Indra decided he was going to kill the residents of Vrindavan. So he got upset. He asked the Samvataka clouds, the clouds that pour rain at the time of destruction of the material world, universe by universe. So they poured so much rain, and he himself had his thunderbolt, and he was striking the soul, and the weather was so bad. But Krishna protected the residents by lifting Govardhan Hill and asking them to get underneath. Govardhan Hill is definitely very, very heavy. And Srila Prabhupada says that, as we know, things are heavy because of gravity, but Krishna counteracted the gravity. So to him, lifting Govardhan Hill was like nothing because he possesses all the energies, including gravitational energy. All energies come from Krishna. And so the residents got underneath and they were saved from the onslaught of flooding and, certain death like that. So that was, or the cause was so that the residents of Vrindavan could have darshan of Krishna for 7 straight days, 7 days and 7 nights. The reversal was to Indra. Indra was used to receiving his puja, and puja done for him, and that was reversed. It was not done. And then the good thing that came from it is the residents at Vrindavan, got a wonderful benefit of the darshan of Krishna, who many, 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 many people seek. Continuous like that for 7 days. So the ego of Indra was checked then. He had to apologize later on. There are other situations too where there are reversals caused by someone else. Actually, speaking about Indra, there was another situation that involved Indra. That's in the 4th canto, chapter 19 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Maharaj Prithu and his wife Achi had come to the material world after King Vina was killed. King Vina was a very evil king. He caused so much problems, even to the Brahmanas. And so the Brahmanas cursed him. And he died. And they churned the body he rubbed it of Vina. And all of the negativity came out in the personality called Bahuka. And then, after more rubbing of the body, then Maharaj Prithu came with his wife. Now, things were restored wonderfully because Maharaj Prithu is connected as a Shakti-based avatar to Krishna. And so Maharaj Prithu wanted to perform Ashwamedha sacrifice, horse sacrifice. And that means there has to be a horse in that, actually real life horse in the sacrifice. And he wanted to perform 100 horse sacrifices. Actually, Indra had done that. Maharaj Prithu performed sacrifices up to 99. And in the 100th one that he was supposed to perform, Indra thought that Maharaj Prithu would take up his position if he was able to get to the 100th one and complete that. So he started causing a problem. to to Maharaj Prithu. And it's the way the things, well, I'll tell a little part of the story, because the way that also unfolded was very interesting. So Maharaj Pariksit in Canto 4, Chapter 19, Text 11, he was performing the last one. And Indra made himself invisible to everyone and stole the horse intended for the sacrifice because he was envious of Maharaj Prithu. So Indra was taking this horse away. So without the horse, the sacrifice could not be completed. Now, he also, first he took the horse and then he changed himself into a liberated person, a sannyasi. But in the meantime, the great sage Atri Muni, he saw what was going on, and he told the son of Maharaj Prithu that Indra has performed this particular trick. So then the son of Maharaj Prithu, whose name later on was given the name Vijitashva, he came after Indra, chased him, and actually wanted to kill him. But the king, Indra, you say king because he's the king of the heavenly planet, he was fraudulently dressed like a sannyasi. He had knotted his hair on his head and smeared ashes on his body. So when finally Vijitatva, the son of Prithu, saw Indra like that, he said, well, maybe he's a sannyasi, so I don't think I should release my arrows and kill him. But Indra left the area. Vijitatva took the horse and returned it. And Indra left again by disappearing. And Maharaj Prithu's son returned the horse. So the sacrifice now continued. Now, second time, Indra brought very dense darkness on the sacrificial arena. And again, covering the scene being covered like that, he again took the horse. And again, Ashwini saw it and told Vijitatva, the son of Prithu, he's done it again. He's fleeing through the sky. So Vijitatva chased him again. And when he was in Indra again, changed himself into Samoda Danda, and so just again disguised himself as a sannyasi. So again, when Vijitatva got there, so maybe I shouldn't kill him. So then Atimuni says, no, that's him. He did this. He's not a sannyasi. So Vijitatva now put an arrow on his bow and was going to shoot him. Then Indra again made himself invisible. So the horse was again returned. But so this going on for a while, Indra tried so many ways, third time, fourth time, fifth time, to try to disrupt the sacrifice. Now, so Maharaj Prithu wanted to do a particular thing, and then this all got turned around because of the envy of Indra. But then Lord Brahma came, and Lord Brahma explained the situation to Maharaj Prithu. Lord Brahma said, so you've done 99, so the 100th one is being disrupted. What's the problem? Let there be no 100 sacrifice. Let there be only 99 sacrifice for Maharaj Prithu. And then Lord Brahma began to inform him, you already are in the path of liberation. You know what it is. Sacrifices don't matter for that. So what's the use of performing more sacrifices? So basically he was telling Maharaj Prithu, so if the 100th one doesn't get performed, it's not a big deal. You have to tolerate. And of course, they had to pull later on Indra and get Indra to apologize. And Maharaj Prithu just left the matter alone. Now, there's so much reversals that happens in our own lives too. Then how is a devotee supposed to take it? A devotee's mind should not be agitated. The material world, as said in Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter 24, text 20. The material world, Prabhupada describes as an ocean of nations. So many negative things are there. Even India does sometimes that. In such an ocean like that, everything is agitated, one thing and after another. But the mind of a devotee that is a great devotee is also like an ocean, except that there is no agitation. We have to be calm, those fixed in the service of the Lord, not get agitated by anything. Of course, it's easier said than done, but for anything said than done, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, we have to keep practicing and practicing and practicing. So being humble and tolerant is in fact, or they are qualities that the devotee is supposed to incorporate or develop. And sometimes it takes reversals and situations in the reversals and how a devotee handles it calmly to deal with that situation. So even if a devotee suffers some reversals in life, a real devotee who's high level is not agitated. So whoever takes shelter of a great soul or devotee, they will learn that and they will also become pacified. And Lord Chaitanya says that a devotee of Lord Krishna, this is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 19, 149, chapter 19, text 149. So, Krishna Bhakta Nikama Deva Chanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakali Achanta. Because the devotee of the Lord Krishna is desireless, is peaceful. Fruity workers desiring material enjoyment. Jnanis desiring liberation, and yogis desiring material opulence. They are all lusty and they cannot be peaceful. As long as you want something for yourself, see, that is borderline, you're bordering or connecting with lust. Because those who are loving, they give away. Those who are lusty, they want things for themselves. And that's why we're talking yesterday about Srila Prabhupada's comments to one of his devotees that asked about the relationship of love between man and a woman here in the material world. Srila Prabhupada says, that's not love. Materialists don't love each other. They lust for each other. There's something that sometimes, people when they get married, especially for non-devotees, they look at different situations, material situations. What does he have? What does she have? Like that. And they make the decisions based on that. Even sometimes, we're talking about non-devotee marriages still. Even when it's arranged, still the family wants to see what is the boy prepared himself for life. Is he qualified materially in some ways? And all of that's taken into consideration. And the woman says, okay, so I can get so and so and so and so type of living, standard of living with this particular man, therefore I'll marry him. And the man is also looking at some things, maybe the physical beauty of the woman, which is also something that doesn't last forever, but still, when you look at it, everything is temporary in the material world. Still, those decisions are made. And Sushila Prabhupada says, that's not real love. You want a real love, you connect with service to Krishna to develop love for Krishna. Then you'll see what real love really is. Because when Krishna begins to reciprocate with us, it goes right to the heart. So the conclusion here, a few things I want to point out is, one, reversals should be regarded by devotees as Krishna wanting to teach us some lessons to help us to grow spiritually. I'll say it again. Reversals, negative things that happen in our life, should be regarded by devotees that Krishna, because he's in the heart, he knows everything. That's Paramatma. He's wanting to teach us some lessons for us to grow, help us to grow spiritually. So from those reversals, we can get in touch with our own emotions. And then we can assess who we really are. It doesn't take wonderful things happening for people to find out what they're really made of. It takes challenges for us to find out what we're really made of. What we can do in that. Challenges, reversals, the same. Sometimes reversals come upon us so that we may use the experience gained from dealing with the reversals to counsel somebody else who may be put in a similar situation later on. As we know from the nectar of instruction, some people know the exchanges of love, giving prashadam, taking, receiving prashadam, giving gifts, receiving gifts, then revealing one's mind in confidence. And many times, revealing one's mind in confidence, the devotee may talk to another devotee and talk about a reversal, a negative thing that's happened in their lives, and how to deal with it. So if the person has experience, because Krishna has arranged for that reversal to come into that person's life, then they say, oh, it happened this way and this way and this way, and this is what I did, how it was dealt with, and maybe you can follow the same path also. So then, because the reversal has happened earlier in that person's life, person A's life, and person B came to talk to person A confidentially, but person A has had that experience before, then he's able to advice on what to do based on the lessons that were learned when we came out of that reversal. So reversals are not bad. They teach us humility and tolerance for others. So all depends on how you look at it. They teach us humility and tolerance. They also cause us to be more determined to go back to Godhead, because this place is a place of duality. Material happiness may come for a while, and then distress may come. In fact, distress is not a matter of distress may come. Distress does in fact come. Sometimes it comes uninvited. You don't know that something is going to happen, it's not your fault, and then all of a sudden it happens. Because we all have a certain amount of happiness materially and a certain amount of distress materially that is to happen in our lives. And those are set even before we get born. So we get born, and then that situation just immediately begins to unfold. So therefore, if there is a situation that, if there's a number of, distress situations or reversals, that should add up to the percentage for that one lifetime, and it hasn't happened yet, then arrangement is made out of our control for the negative thing to happen, because we have to make up the percentage of negativity for our lives. So then it will come anyway, whether we are ready for it or not. This is why sometimes bad things happen to good people, as they say. We didn't cause that, and it still happened. But you have to make up for the number, the proportion of the stress for one's life, and then the proportion for happiness. The proportion for happiness also comes, the Papa says, distress sometimes comes uninvited, so happiness also comes. But we tend to think that, it's because I did this, I did that, that's why my situation has been good. But we forget that other people do the same things that we do, and sometimes they don't get those things that we get. The positive things, or the advantages, or the material, whatever that comes, that's good for us, better standard of living and so on. Other people try. You go to the classroom, teachers know it very well. You teach the same subject. Some people try very hard to study, and still, when it comes to exams, they fail. And I can't begin to tell you how many emails in my life of teaching that I've gotten that a distressed student sends an email to me and says, they call me by name at that time, like common name, and then they'll say, but I worked my tail off so much and I still failed the exam. What do I tell people like this? Maybe I should just teach them a little Krishna consciousness. But the reversals are part of life. And we learn to transcend by being tolerant. And when we connect with Krishna, then a devotee becomes calm, because he knows that whatever is happening, Krishna actually is, the cause of all causes. Therefore, it's underneath that. Hmm? Underneath it is Krishna's plan. And we have to pray for Krishna's plan to unfold, and we learn the lessons from it so that our reversals now would be something for us to grow in life and also teach others too. When they come to us, when Krishna arranges for them to come to us and get some advice in confidence. So reversals are not all bad. Maharaj Pariksit's situation reversal in his life that he had to leave the administration was for Srimad Bhagavatam to be spoken. And now he learned so much. First, he said, what's a dying man supposed to do? And that was explained by Shukadeva Goswami. And then so many other questions that he asked were answered, and so much more information was given. And now we have this wonderful Vedanta Sutra commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam, that we can learn from. And the final thing I want to say is, this is just a comment made by Srila Prabhupada. He said the human, and we've heard this many times, the human body is the very, very special body because that's the one with the intelligence by which we can escape this, situation we're in. So the human body is the one with better intelligence compared to the 8 million other types of physical bodies that don't have the type of intelligence. So it's rare to get a human body. It's even more rare to get a human body and have the understanding that the place that we are is a place of suffering, because people are trying to make their lives better, not realizing that it's actually a futile effort, because things are set so that there's adhyatmic, there's adibotic, and adidevic, so there's those type of suffering from one's mind and suffering from other living entities. You can't stop that, and suffering from the demigods, sometimes the weather being very bad. So this is a place of suffering. Very fewer people among human beings even realize that. And then even fewer among those know that Srimad Bhagavatam is in fact the wonderful educative process to get out of this situation that we're in. So that the reversals come, Maharaj Kunti said that the reversals come, but it helps us to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And sorry for going a little longer, but Hare Krishna. Thank you. All right, devotees, so this is time to unmute your phones and make comments, ask questions, talk about takeaways, and so that we can have some discussion. Hare Krishna. So anyone with a comment or takeaway or question?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance to Sri
That
Prabhupada.
mine, God, Sri Prabhupada.
Thank you for the wonderful pastimes. It is always nice to hear pastimes and get some lessons from it. Two, I think, or three pastimes. So thank you for that. You spoke about the mind being agitated, and I was wondering, does the mind agitate only for good reasons or not so good reasons? And how do we differentiate if it's for good and not good?
When the mind gets agitated, well, what is a devotee supposed to do? Sometimes we kind of, because we have emotions, things do happen that may be agitating to us. We have to try as best as we can to deal with that situation, not let it get out of hand. As I've been told, I remember in one lecture that I heard, that in devotee relationship, even husband and wife relationship, or devotees living together in the temple, there will be situations where one comment may agitate someone else. And for that time, just that period of time, there may be a little friction that would occur between the two parties. So how quickly the situation gets resolved is actually quite important. Because if it gets dragged and dragged and dragged and dragged, like in the situation of a marriage, it may even lead to divorce. So how quickly the situation of misunderstanding between two parties gets dealt with, how quickly they get dealt with, determines how the relationship survives and goes on. So devotees, one, we were told, be tolerant. Reversals come, but be tolerant. Adopt a humble position on it. Look at the lessons that you can learn from it. You cannot stop reversals. It's part of life here. Just like happiness and distress are part of life in this world. It's how you deal with it that matters. And in many, 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 many situations, devotees, how they deal with themselves, devotees dealing with management, in so many situations, sometimes there's friction. But how the devotee deals with it has to, especially if they resort to service. Service is one big, big solution to many, many, many situations. When the devotee opens their heart and serves other devotees, reversals just simply get taken care of because Krishna knows that we have our hearts in the right place and he will help us resolve those things. So I hope this helps in kind of understanding this. You cannot avoid reversals. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Any other comments? We're at the top of the hour, but if you still want to comment before we close, then that would be nice.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Please accept me
Krishna.
for my obeisances, August to
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
actually stuck with yesterday's class, so my mind is still contemplating on how the mind works, So yes, I'm still in that mood of mind consciousness. Thank you, Prabhu, for a nice class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If you don't mind my asking, can you explain a little more why yesterday's class, what part of it that is, got you thinking about it? Because I was also thinking about it the whole day, actually. I played it back and listened because I asked my gurus for, Sri Prabhupada, Bhakti Maharaj for help. So many times what comes out is not even the notes that I prepared at all. It's totally different. So yeah, we learned a lot from it, even though, it seemed to be that I'm speaking, but I'm only just relating what's said. So I'm a little curious to find out what is it that from yesterday.
Yes, this topic of mind has always I don't know, it has been confusing for me because but the way you explained it yesterday made so much sense, and this was the first time I had clarity on it. So my apologies, I haven't had time to hear the class again, yesterday's class again, but I'm definitely going to hear it again and make some notes because my memory is very, very poor. I mean,
That's all of us.
within moments, whatever is heard, just goes out of the other ear. Not that we wanted to, but the memory is really poor based on the age also. So yeah, I found yesterday's class very beneficial for me. Not that the other classes are not, but this was the topic that I was looking for, on the mind. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And today's one's about reversals and how to deal with them. Each time something comes up from Srimad Bhagavatam that's so educated, there's no question about it. Hare Krishna. Any other comments? All right, devotees, thank you very much for coming. We have a wonderful weekend. Vanchakapatarubhascha kripa sindhibhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.